We have two moves which we can do, a 6 on a 7, a 9 on a 10. We do the in-suit one first. Well, that gives us two more moves because now we have a Queen Jack 10 sequence. Now we got the 8. That gives us another two moves. Moves are blossoming all around us here at the moment, knock on wood. Okay. Now I've come up with a 7. This is an interesting one a little bit. The logical thing to do is keep going with the 9, keep going with the 8, and the 7 and the 6. And I think that's what I'll do. When we get to the 7 and 6, we can talk again. There's the 9, I get a Jack, which is not terribly useful here. There's an 8, I get a 3, joining my club of 3s here. And everything points the same way here. I have an 8, a receiving 8 with two 7s, and this one is on the shorter pile. In addition, there's another factor here, which is that by doing this 7 and this 6, this unit here in column 5 will remain atomic. If I put this over and then put this 6 on this 7 in column 8, I would have a non-atomic unit, which would be harder to move later. There's a 9, which is not of great interest, a 6, and another 9. This is an okay beginning on the whole. We've got 7 cards exposed. I'll do my little hint cheat. It says indeed deal. I will deal and then stop to think. There are a bunch of things to think about here. Right over on the right hand side is our best chance for getting a space, so that's certainly going to be a high priority. However, there are various other ways that we could get spaces here, could uncover cards here. And simplifying assumption a bit is that ranks that will not move are 9s and Jacks. So and a Queen will not move either, even if you could get through all that. So, 1, 3, 6, 7, and 8. We're not going to be able to move any of those. Okay. So, the 9 is a precious card because there are 3 8s that could move onto it. And this 5 is a precious card because there are 2 4s that can move onto it. But under the circumstances, since I can't move this 9 anyway, and since this 3 will be an in-suit move, I'm simply going to see what's under here. It is a 10. I'm delighted to have a 10. I can immediately just move that up. That is a reversible move. I'm not sure if I'd said anything specific about reversible moves before, but it's kind of just what it says. You can make a move, and if you said, "Oh, I didn't like that move," you can undo it. You can, without using the program's undo feature, you just can move it back to where it was before. And if you're not counting moves, then that's a perfectly fine thing to do. Now, does this change anything? Well, I still can't. This column requires moving 2 9s, and I only can move 1, so I can't actually get anywhere in that column. Now, this 2 ace here is a perfectly nice way to expose a card and use up an ace. This way here uses up a 5 and an ace. That's got 5 cards under it. This has only got 4. There is something to be said for keeping our eye on this here when it's when it's not just a matter of exposing something or not exposing something. This will be a good thing to want to do. But let's see, the 5 could take this 4, and then we could get this 7 on something. So, yeah, so here's a reason I believe I can get an extra card. if I were to go to column 2 here, I would be using up 2 separate precious things to get 1 card. I would use up this 5, and I'd be using up one of my 2s here. Well, I'm going to start over here with this 2 and this ace, partly because this is all nice and in suit, okay? The best thing to do next, certainly a 5, this 5 is, yeah, the 6 is hidden under here as a rank break, so I can simply move this over, put the 5 of clubs over here, and then see what's under that 5. I get an ace. This ace now is a high priority to move because there's only 2 cards under it. And as we have a space, yeah, this 3, because of the jack, the 3's not going anywhere anytime soon. Though, we might look and see, do we have enough ability to actually sort this out a little bit here? See, we have a jack of diamonds, 10 of hearts, jack of hearts, 10 of diamonds. We have a space. I'm curious if we have what we would need to actually do this here. Well, I can certainly put the 8 of spades over there. I can put the 9 of hearts back there. Now, can I actually swap I'm not sure I have enough of something. I wish I knew the name for what it is that I don't have enough of here to be able to actually swap this 10 of hearts with that 10 of diamonds. There ought to be a word for it. If I was giving up a space, if I had this 8 of hearts in play, I probably could do that, but I'm not sure I want to do that yet. As usual, or it's not obvious what to do, but we have, for instance, 3 8s, so it's a low market value on 8s, and I will use that 7 to look in there. Here's a 4. That's interesting. I decided before not to use this 4 ace combo because if nothing else it used up 2 valuable things, and now I've found one way to use a use for that valuable thing. Could I swap these around in some better fashion? I don't. Hold on a sec here. We have available 10. That means we can move the 9 onto it. That means we have an available 8. I mean, we are receiving 9, which we could put this 8 onto, and then we would have this 3. And that all looks very good, actually. Now, I think I have that same problem before, that I can't immediately figure out how to get all this in suit the way I'd like it to be in suit. But maybe it'll work. Let's see. If I move this 9 and 8 up, I now expose that, and now, well, yeah, I can get the hearts back that way, but I'm not sure I can do the diamonds. I do not see how to get that 10 of diamonds and that 10 of hearts swapped. There's too much stuff in the way. So, going back to what we can do, I love to keep things atomic as much as I can, so I can put that 7 over there. And am I forgetting something? No, I can move this 4, even though this one is in suit. This one has only got 3 cards under it, and I take that to be the higher priority now. Oh, yeah, I guess I was going to take advantage of the fact that there were 2 4s to go to, and expose this 4 here. I can't tell you honestly whether that's a great idea or not, but Now here's a 10, and this is, I'm wondering if this gives me enough to do that swap I wanted to do before. I think I've just done it, and I don't really know quite the name for this, but let me undo so I can, well, what happens here is that I can now swap these because this 9-8 is kind of like floating around freely. So if I say put the 10 of diamonds over here, I can put the 9-8 on it. If I put the 10 of hearts here, I can put the 9-8 on it. I can put the 10 of diamonds back there. And I was able to do that. Now, I had to do some preparation to get there, so now I'm going to do a bunch of undos to show you where I was when I started all this. How far back do I have to go? I think it was only this far back. See, when I look at this situation, if I don't do anything special, I run up to the same problem I had before. You know, here's the 9, here's the 8. Now I can move the 10, but now how can I move this? And the way that I was able to solve this was to observe that if I had a 9-8 unit on here, then I would be able to do my little trick. And I actually have a 9-8 unit. It wasn't obvious to me years ago, and still wouldn't be obvious without thinking about it a lot, what I would get here. I mean, my intermediate goal here is to see this 10-9 of hearts and 8 of spades and say, oh, I want to replace that with the 10 of hearts and the 9-8 of spades. And I would say, what the heck, what's the point of that? And so now I can try to give you that reason. I guess it's because there's a 10 here. There's a 10, which is another critical card of what I'm doing. So anyway, here I go with the swap, pulling that 9 and 8 of spades in there, and then this is for the moment a junk pile. We can retrieve it later, but for the moment it's a junk pile. And now I have my sort of balanced a 9 and 8, which can hop freely from 10 to 10 without needing a space to do it. So there goes the 10, there goes the 9-8, there goes the 10, there goes the 9-8 back, and there goes that 10 back. Okay. Now I'd really rather have the I'd rather put my spades together again now that I've done my little magic. So there's the spades back in order. Maybe I'll just keep it here to keep them atomic, but that was a little trick. Okay, well, you know, look nice in a lot of ways. I have this ace to move on to some 2. I have this 9 to move on to this 10. I have a 4 to move on to a 5. 2 to move on to the 3. And once before, the one thing I don't want to do here is this column, because that uses up 2 valuable resources instead of just 1. So without any strong reason to do one thing or another that I can think of, I'm going to just look under the 9-8. And I get a king. Well, kings have their place as places to put queens. So do I have what it takes to move this now? That's the next question. I only have one space. The 8 of hearts is here, but the 8 of hearts is it's at the top. It's the top of a rank break, and that's generally a good sign that this is not a reversible move. So this isn't part of shuffling around if I do this. Is there some other way to do it? Maybe, but I can't see it right now. So that's just going to sit there for the time being. Maybe something good will happen later. I will dig in this next pile, the fairly short pile. Well, this only has 2 cards under it, so I guess maybe I'll do that one first. And I get a 7. Okay. The market value of receiving 8s is low, so here goes a 7 in there. And there is a jack. Now that's interesting. One thing that this probably lets me do now, along with moving this 10 onto it eventually, is I bet I can now move this queen because of stepping stones that I've now gotten. I can move this onto the 8 as before, and now I can, because I can break this heart suit and put it on the 10 and get my space back. Now I have, I can just use the space and move the queen over. And then I can put the hearts back together. And I got a 6. Well, we like 6s. There's a receiving 7. Can I tell you at this point the exact best thing to do? No, I can't. Let's see. Now, one thing I'm looking for is I'm going to put stuff on this jack in the space. Of course, me being me, would love it to be atomic. Now, for instance, if I put this jack 10 9 of hearts in the space and put the other stuff up here, then that jack 10 9 would be atomic. But it would leave open the question of, well, is the jack 10 9 enough, or is there more that has to go on it? If there's more that has to go on it, then it's not really all that valuable. Basically, here in this situation, no kings, no jacks, no 9s, and no aces are going to move productively. So that rules out columns 1, 2. There's the 9 and the ace. 2 jacks, a king and a jack. Only these columns 3, 4, and 5 can move, and they're, here's a couple, an honest way to do it. You can put the 4 and the 5, use this space to put this over on here, and put the 6 on the 7. Great. However, I think I see a better way to do it that involves, I'm still going to get those same 3 cards. My more complicated plan is going to sort some things out at the same time. Critically, although I can't move this 9 itself, I can use this 3 to get the 2 away and thereby have a place to put an 8. And this 8 here is the one that will move. At least that's the, whoops, undo there. I mean, this is the this is the rank break 8 that I will move. I will probably actually move this one so that I can move this 8 onto here, but for planning at this point, at this level, I just say I'm going to move this 8 onto this 9. And having done that, that exposes a jack that is up here instead of this one over here, and that allows me to put this 10, 9, 8 onto that in suit, okay? And so I'm helping to build up my jack, my in suit stuff here. I'm going to be building up my hearts a little bit over there, and that should be a better result than just taking those 3 things as they were. So now to actually do it, I'm not going to, this is for the moment a sort of junk pile. I'm going to put the 2 and ace on it. Now, as I'm going to now do the 8 move, but as I said, I'm actually going to put the 8 of hearts over here, see, so the 8 of spades goes there, but here's the irreversible move is that one right there. And now I can actually move this 10 over and actually expose a card now. So I've done the first of my exposing. I have a 6 to put on the 7. That's easy enough to do. I get another 6, which is not of great value at the time being, and my last card was the 4 onto the 5, and that is the that was what my plan to do was. So now I'll stop and think about it a little more. How about that? I don't see any way to uncover more cards without using up my space. So now I'm just kind of shuffling things around before I put something in the space. And one thing here, for instance, is we have a king of diamonds, and over here is the queen of diamonds. And we'd much rather have them together. So I can just do that by breaking the hearts that way. There goes the queen of diamonds. And here come the hearts back. Now, that's step one. Of course, being who I am, I always like to have things relatively atomic. So, for instance, here's a 9 of clubs, 8 of spades. I could put the 7 of hearts on there, or the 7, 6, 5 of clubs. But this, to keep this truly atomic, I would get rid of the 7 and 6. On the other hand, this has a 3 under it, which is an interesting card. And since there are 3 other jacks floating around, maybe in this circumstance, I will move the 7, 6, 5 of clubs over there. So this is not atomic, but there's only one thing to get a potentially valuable card there. What I'm going to put in the space is this 6 of spades, which stays atomic, is not a king, is not a jack, and lets me expose a card. I get a 3. Okay, well, the 3 has an obvious home here on the 4. There isn't too much interest I can do with it. And now I get a queen. Okay, now that is interesting because I can both get the space back, and I'm going to be able to go onto that king. And in fact, it seems pretty much the obvious thing to do. So I'll just go ahead and do it. And I get a jack. Well, I could take this jack back as I was planning, but I might as well take that jack back. Okay, and then I can build up here on my suit in that way. One thing I see when looking at this, which I had not before, is that we are 1 card away from a diamond suit. We have the king, queen, jack, 10, 9, 8, and the 6th ace here. Only the 7 is missing. It's you know, well, often you have to fish the pieces of a suit out from all over, but we're already in very good condition of having this just in 2 piles and 3 pieces. You know, so for instance, if I really wanted to, you know, if I really wanted to say, oh gee, now I'm going to make this as clear as possible, I could say, look, I'll actually put that together. But I don't have to do that. It doesn't help me all that much. I could regret, of course, you know, finding a king showing up in one of these places, but anyway, I'm just going to note the fact and be happy about it. And so now the question is, what do I put in the space before the deal? And in line with my ordinary atomic, looking for atomic energy here, I will at least improve this column 2 while letting column 1 be a junk pile. And the obvious thing to do here is to put this jack of hearts or jack of spades in the space. Now, they're jacks, it would be another jack, but it would in fact expose a card, and that's always nice. But what I'm going to do, potentially a bad thing, but if so, I don't know it. People could maybe show me how. I'm going to actually just take this 10 of hearts and stick it in the space. My reasoning being that getting stuck without a space is often one of the ways you go downhill in one of these games. And this 10 sitting in the space has 4 separate jacks it can go on as part of a plan to regain our space. That's what I'm going to do. And now I'm going to deal and undoubtedly stop and think about things a little bit. Here with my tally, I can see quickly that kings, nines, threes, and sixes are not going to be able to move here. So if I'm right about that, that rules out column 1, column 4, column 5, and then these 4 right-hand columns because of the 6, the king, and the 6. Okay. So that's worth noting. It's also worth noting that the one card that we were missing for the diamond suit, the 7, did not show up. So as usually happens, I'm going to want to reclaim my space. This 2 goes on to a 3, and then I also need a jack to put this 10 on. I guess I will start here in regaining my space, because I'm going to have to uncover that sooner or later. Okay. Without anything more brilliant to do, I guess I will just, well, I do need to think about, if I put the jack on this queen, am I then short a stepping stone card? And I think maybe I am. So I'm going to start by putting this queen over here. And I don't know, maybe other reasons to do this, but I'm just going to, I guess this has got 3 cards instead of 5, so that's a reason to do this one first. I'm going to uncover that, and I get an 8. Well, an 8 is nice. It has a home right here. I don't think anything else has changed in our plans, so I'm just going to put that there. And now we get an ace. All right. So our other plan for getting a card was to use this ace over here in column 2, but we can't do that. Well, we can't do both of these, and obviously it's much higher priority to get this, see what's under the ace of hearts here. And it is a queen, okay. Some things I would note is that ideally we would not like to get our diamonds buried too deeply. Hopefully if that 7 of diamonds shows up, we could dig down and pull them out. For that purpose, I'll move this 5 over to at least make this a little better. I see 2 main options here. One would be to put this 3-2 ace in the space and the jack on the queen. That uncovers that card in a pile with just 3. The other is to put this 4-3 on one of these 5s, these receiving 5s with a low market value, and then put the ace in the space. And that leaves me 2 atomic things, well, 3, instead of just 2 and 1. And so I think that's what I'm actually going to do. We do need, we do need cards, not just spaces. So here goes the 4-3 over to this place, and the ace in the space gives me a 3, and that has no immediate benefit that I can see, and therefore I will deal and probably stop to think. Before the previous deal, I had made a big deal about putting a 10 in a space when there were several jacks to receive it, and I believe the one before this I was perhaps going to have a jack on this queen instead of it being atomic. And none of that, I guess, actually, was vital. But I'd just like to point out in this case, just the kind of how important it is to be able to get a space back, okay? If you look at this situation now, there's no way this 9 is going anywhere. There's no way this king is going anywhere. The only hope for a space is over here with this 2 and 6-5. Well, see lots of 7s, so if we can get the 2 out of the way, we have a place to put the 6-5. Where are we going to put that 2? Well, let's see. What do we have in the way of 3s? Well, the main one I see is right over here. and it's under a 4. Well, to move a 4, we need a 5. Where is there a 5? Well, let's see. There's one right here. And now, how do I get to that 5? I get to that 5 by moving 7 to an 8. And as it turns out, I will be able to get a space, and we will make some progress. But, you know, if any one step in that sequence was broken, then we wouldn't be getting anywhere. I think we'll be able to make considerable progress here, but we have to do those steps. So I'm also noting that the 7 of diamonds came up, which was that missing diamond. Did that come up? No, the 7 of diamonds came up, so we now actually can do that diamond suit. I move this 7 to expose this 5. I move the 4 to expose the 3. I get the 2 onto the 3, and now I've gotten myself a space. Okay, so now I can think about what I might want to do with that. We can put this 3 and 2 on a 4 and expose a card. We can get another 8 out of here if we move this 6, so we could do this and then use this 3-2 ace on the 4, using up the 4 in that way instead. And for instance, here's a thing where this king queen was never going to be a space, but when we have a space, we could now swap them, put the king, put the queen, and then we would have a place to put a jack, such as this jack right here. But with so many possibilities, I'm going to try to see what I can do for actually removing this suit. Okay, so I can move this 7 over this way. I need to do a bunch of stuff, but for the moment I'm going to try to put the 7 into this sequence we have here. And then I move that 6 over here, move this 6 over here, and now I have ace to 7. I can swap the heart, the 7 of hearts and the 7 of diamonds. So now at least I have ace to jack. If I had a queen king, then I would have I could remove my suit. Okay. So I need to move this jack. Where am I going to put it? Well, I'm going to get it out of this king-queen swap that I mentioned before as a possibility. And now I just put the 5 on here, I put the jack on here, and now I pause for a moment because once you remove a suit, you can no longer use it for stepping stones and dispose a card. The 3 will come up. We can put that on a 4, but we could have put this 3 on a 4 too, so that's not in itself anything helpful. But here goes the diamonds, and we get a king. Well, that's rarely good news, and you know, it sure would have been nice to have one of the 10s that we're missing. You know, I'm just going to go through this quickly, go through the suits from top to bottom. Spades, we don't have a king, we have queen down to 8. Here we have 7, 6, 5, 4, and that's good. Here's 3, here's 2, there's ace, so that's actually pretty good except for the king. However, to get there I'd have to put this 9 in a space, and I don't really want to do that without a really good reason for it. So I have the 7 to 5 here, 7 to 4 here. I suppose, if nothing else, it would be a reason to move this 3 instead of that 3, because it would be, see, here's a simple improvement, the 2 of spades on the 3 there. Okay, well that was the spade suit, which I would love to improve, but don't think I can do great on at the moment. Okay, the other suit was hearts, which I said we have king, jack to 6, 4, 3, 2 ace, so we're missing a couple hearts, and you know, it's not terrible. Here's a tiny improvement. Tiny improvement. Well, let's see. First, the queen of kings, diamonds can go on that. And then I was going to put the Jack of Hearts near the king, but it's higher priority to just have that king and queen together, I guess. Diamonds and spades here, clubs and hearts there. Um, let's see, that was spades and hearts. Clubs, here's the king, queen, there's the jack. Missing the 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ace. These are some interesting cards over here, so I think that may be what I'll end up doing to to try to comb things out. If I can put the 3 and 2 of spades on here anytime I want, but there's no hurry really. It might end up being an interesting swapping stone somehow. So I use up this 9 in that fashion, and now I'm going to use up one of my 2s. Well, yes, this one isn't being used up because it's already, the ace is already on a 2. Okay. And now I can look around and see what else can be done here. Here's a 4 of diamonds. Okay. Now I can get the 4 and 3 of clubs on the 5 there. That's nice. So this is now 7 down to 3. Here's the 8 of clubs up there. So if I move these around, I can swap this out and end up with the 7 of clubs there. And then lo and behold, I can actually swap back the other way now. The spades are not improved by going on the 9 of diamonds, but the clubs are improved, so that's good. Yeah, so I mean, here's the 2 of clubs, there's the ace of clubs. That's a pretty good sequence of clubs. So, on the other hand, I'm still not interested in. I mean, I might well be able to get this 9 in the space and get the ace up, but I don't know. I'm still not convinced that that's the right thing to do. So anyway, that was I mucked around a little bit to try to improve things. There's probably more that I could do. You know, but this column has no rank breaks. This column has no rank breaks. This is a 9 on an ace. This still has some structure in it. The 7 would go on an 8, the 3 would go on a 4, the jack would go, you know, nothing that we can obviously improve here. This 9 would be better if we could get it on a 10. But anyway, eventually you just got to play. So here goes the 3, 2 ace of spades, and we get a 9. Okay, we did not really want a 9. We want 10s. That's what we want, is 10s. But boy, I'm looking again at that ace of clubs. We say we have the jack, king, queen there. All we need is the ace. I think maybe I'm gonna, well, yeah, maybe I'm gonna do it. So I could put the 9 in the space, but then I would have 2 9s. I could put the 3 of clubs in the space, and then I would have a 3 and a 9. So what the heck, here we go. I get a 2. Well, 2 keeps me alive for the moment. I get a king. Oh joy, oh wonder. This was not what the doctor ordered. So I look at what I have here. These 2 items are, I have these 2 columns that are atomic. Unfortunately, we've gotten kings plastering these other 2 that were, and we just have to see what the next bunch of cards is, I guess. Things look quite good after the deal. I believe we can get both of our spaces without much trouble at all. So I will just go ahead and do that. There are 2 cards here that I note we're short on. For instance, we're short of 7s. So, you know, one of our first ideas, well, you know, certainly in the top of our mind was can we get the clubs out of here? Well, we can, but to get to that king queen of clubs, we have to give up a space with the 6. So it's not necessarily the top thing on our minds. There's probably a million different ways we can win this, and unless the cards were really terrible, we would pull it off. But um, we did not get a king of spades, but we do have the hearts that we need. But to move this queen of hearts, we need to put it on a king. And well, where's the only free king? It's under this 6. So, that also means losing a space to do that. So I don't know. There's all kinds of possibilities, but for instance, in this column here, we can actually uncover stuff without using up any spaces. So that's what I'm going to do. And we get a king. Well, that was one of the cards we were saying we would be using up. Going back over this after the end, you can now see this darkened region is where I did a bunch of analysis that led me astray. I did not spot that the king of spades that came up was actually what we needed to didn't make the connection. It's what we needed to complete the spade suit. So that would have been a much better way to go. And I was instead messing around with how to possibly get hearts. There will be a little bit of silence, and then you'll see brightening again, the part where I actually make the fateful move. Here goes one of our spaces. And here was me making a bunch of, trying to get out of the situation that I'm in. Having used up that space without having thought too clearly about it beforehand, I'm in deep trouble. Now, it's quite possible that I could make the final deal and get out of this somehow, but I thought it was more interesting to go back and do it right. So technically this is a loss, but I'm going to undo here and then go on and talk about how I really should have done it instead. That's my plan. When I put this 9 of spades over here in the 10 of hearts, I see, aha, I got a king. And my immediate reaction was, oh great, I have a place to put the queen. But the more important thing I missed is that was the missing spade. With that king, I now can remove a spade suit. Use up my space in that way. I now have used up the space which I didn't want to use, but now I can remove the spade suit. And in fact, I get a 10. So 10 is one of those cards that we really, really wanted, and now we have it back. So with the spades and the diamonds gone, now, famous last words, it shouldn't be too hard to pull the rest out of here. See, the diamond is a suit that's off, and often you have trouble when you get one of those cards that's from the suit that's off and you don't have the other stuff you want. So for instance, a safer thing to do here, even though it's probably not necessary, is to put the clubs there. So now I have a atomic bunch of clubs. So now I can give up my last space in that regard. I can go over this way, this way. I haven't lost that space. Okay, so what's left is the clubs, which was the one we were initially most thought is one of the first ones that we thought of as a good candidate to remove. Now here's the 8 and 9 of diamonds again. It's probably a way out of this, but here I have 2 jacks and a receiving 10. 2 receiving jacks, and now I have this ace 2 situation. I can swap the diamonds out, put the clubs in. I can swap the diamonds and hearts in this little configuration. I also have to remember I do have another deal coming up, so to a large degree just cleaning things up is very likely to give the good results I want. Okay. Am I really short of space here? I don't see how I'm not short of space, but I will put this jack on the queen, and now I get a 10 and another 10. Now I think finally I can put this 10 in the space and actually get that club suit out of the way. Now I got one of each suit done, and it may well just be a boring exercise at this point. But since I've blown it before, I'm eager to do this carefully if I can. What do I have? I can expose a card here. I can expose cards there. I can't tell which is more important, so I'm just going to do these. And I get a king. Isn't that lovely? Okay. So now may well be breaking all the rules that I have set here, but okay, well that's good. I get a 4, 3, 2 ace, so I get some stuff back there. Now I have king down to 5. Can make this a little tiny bit more atomic there. Jack, 10, 9, ace, 5, 6, 5, 3, I can see what's under here. It's a 5 of clubs. That's an ace of spades. This is another one of these things where I have 3 kings with cards under them, and maybe I do better instead of putting kings in spaces to go totally atomic on what's left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what do I have here? Multiple things showing. I have 2, 2, 2, 2, 5. Okay, I have 2 5s showing, so if I just put this 4 into space and then deal, and we'll see what happens. Okay. Once you can get a space, usually it's pretty straightforward, but I will go through the motions here anyway. Do we have any suits on the board already? 5, 4. 5 to spades. It looks like we don't have the 4 spades. Since there are only 4 cards here, it would be quite remarkable if we didn't have at least one suit. It'd have to be one each. Okay, so with hearts we have the king, but we don't have the queen, so it's not hearts. With diamonds we have the king, queen, the jack, the 10, 9, the 8, the 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 ace. So we do in fact have all the diamonds. So that's a good idea for something to remove, maybe. There's an 8. We want a 6. We want to get rid of a 4 over here. Ace there, 6, 5 here, 4, 3, 2 there, 8 there, 3 there, 10, 10. Now here's a ace, 2, ace, 2, ace, jack there. Here go the diamonds. Okay. It's the silliest thing in the world, but once you have 3 red suits off, or 3 black suits off. The other one kind of just pops out of you. You know, you see, well, there's a heart, there's the cards. All the red cards are the same suit. There we go. So, that's right, there are 3 cards less, and I guess there's 1 of each. Okay, so there's the ace of hearts, there go the hearts. There's the jack of clubs, there are the 4 of spades. And here we go, finally winning